Today is a holiday and I'm cleaning out my closet and I came across all these shirts I have never worn for a long time, and I have an amazing personal connection to these, an emotional connection because of what they represent, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that in relationship to personal iconography and semiotics. One of the things I've been doing is going through and cleaning up and taking care of little projects that have slipped my attention. One of which is this bag of T-shirts that I no longer wear, and I don't like having things around that I don't use, and there's obviously people that can use them. But the difficulty is that the shirts represent something for me, not only because, well, they're from different places, but they are associated with personal events and moments that I remember. For example, this shirt from the Hirshhorn a few years ago, I remember that experience. This shirt, which my brother gave to me, but I've never worn because I don't like how it fits. But here is an event that my students participated in, and I really love the event. It's a great event, and my students took second place overall on this event, this Chalk the Block. But I've never worn this except for when I was there. So I'm thinking about semiotics and symbols, and obviously these have graphic connections to events. This one is for the 12 Hours of Sundance, which is a race that I participate in as a mountain biker every year. And so I remember this race and the people I worked with towards doing well in this race. But the shirt itself doesn't do anything for me. So the formal properties don't mean so much, but it symbolically connects to a moment in time that is personally important to me. Here is something that my students did, a great project. Again, it represents a lot. This is a project I did with Lakita Edwards and her group that travels in and out of DC, and where my students collaborated with them and did something called the Train Tribe, where we graphically represented what this group of fellow travelers, how they identify themselves. So my students worked to illustrate that through a graphic and creating T-shirts, and so a really meaningful moment, and not that meaningful visually for me to wear. And anyway, another 12 Hours of Sundance race, a great race, but another one, another race, another shirt. Okay. It's just, I don't wear these very much. And so, I'm really interested in why we hold on to things. They represent different things in our lives. And I've been thinking about the personal symbolism I use in my artwork and what that might convey to others. So these are two of my paintings from a few years ago. And what they mean for me personally, well, I'll be honest, I keep on looking at this and think it needs a lot more work, but the iconography I was using, the personal symbolism, was related to my mom's passing away. My mother had OCD, and when she passed away, it fell upon me and others to go through all the things and try to see things of value amongst all the various piles of this and that. And so here are some of the images, the images of flowers, of different patterns, tea set, a coat, a note actually where my name appears, that she wrote a lot of notes and that was there, and garbage bags. All this event, I started to think about, man, I can really choose to focus and have this as a very negative thing, but what about the patterns, the things of beauty that I found amongst these little these piles? I found things that were personally significant, not necessarily monetarily important, but personally significant photos, family photos, and objects that were endowed with memories that I remembered. So this is what this painting was in the series was about, was trying to convey through the kind of scattered, overlapping, chaotic imagery, trying to assimilate patterns of beauty. And I think a lot of times in life I've found that that's something I've tried to do, is focus on beautiful moments within the chaotic structure of life that sometimes can be difficult to find that. You have to look and really try to see the big picture and see rhythms and patterns emerge that are beautiful, even in some things like my mother's passing and her death and the aftermath of that. Getting rid of these shirts and thinking about art to my personal iconography and seeing if it really is making a connection. I'd be really curious to know what your thoughts are. I may be getting this whole idea of semiotics wrong. Let's take a look at what the internet, or well, Wikipedia says about the definition of semiotics. So, definition: the study and signs and symbols as elements of communicative behavior, the analysis of systems of communication as language, gesture, clothing, in general theory of signs and symbolism divided into different branches. But so I think of signs and symbolism and the connection to the symbols and what they represent, and I try to do that in my art. I think the important thing is if you make a personal connection for you, is to make sure you're conveying that to others, and that is always a challenge. So your thoughts, I'd love to hear what you're thinking. This is kind of a lazy day vlog. It's a holiday, and I have some great vlogs coming up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Going to New York in 2 weeks, and we'll chronicle the National Art Education Association's convention, and next weekend I'll be down in southern Utah at UAEA's convention. So I'll talk about that. Please post your comments, and any suggestions would be great. Thanks.